Liam, a 19-year-old garbage picker living on the streets of New York City, navigated the bustling sidewalks, his eyes scanning the ground for anything of value. The sun beat down on him, making the weight of the day feel even heavier. His tattered clothes clung to his lean frame, and his shoes were worn thin from miles of walking. Despite the hardship, Liam had a sharp mind and a kind heart, which kept him going each day. One scorching afternoon, while rummaging through a pile of trash in an alley, Liam's fingers brushed against something unusual. It was an envelope, thick and sealed, with an elegant insignia embossed on the front. Curiosity piqued. Liam opened it and found a stack of important-looking documents. His eyes widened as he realized these papers could belong to someone very important. The name Robert, a well-known businessman who owned a significant auto industry empire, was prominently featured. Liam had heard of Robert, a wealthy man who lived in a grand mansion on the other side of the city. Determined to do the right thing, Liam decided to return the documents. He walked for hours, finally reaching the gates of Robert's opulent mansion. His heart pounded in his chest as he approached the entrance, clutching the envelope tightly. He took a deep breath and rang the bell. Moments later, a stern-faced housekeeper appeared, looking him up and down with disdain. "What do you want?" she asked coldly. "I need to speak to Mr. Robert. I have something important for him," Liam said, trying to sound confident despite his nerves. "Mr. Robert doesn't have time for beggars. If you want money, go somewhere else," the housekeeper replied, starting to close the door. Liam quickly stuck his foot in the door, preventing it from closing. "I'm not leaving until I give these documents to him. They're very important," he insisted, his voice firm. The housekeeper hesitated, then scowled and left the door ajar, disappearing into the house. Liam waited anxiously, his heart racing. After a few minutes, a tall, elegant man appeared. It was Robert, looking irritated at the interruption. "What's going on here?" Robert asked impatiently, his eyes narrowing as he saw Liam. "I found your documents," Liam said, extending the envelope towards him. Robert's skepticism was evident as he took the envelope and quickly checked the contents. His expression shifted from irritation to shock as he recognized the documents. "Where did you find these?" he asked, suspicion coloring his tone. "It doesn't matter where I found them. What matters is that I brought them to you," Liam replied, trying to stay calm under Robert's intense gaze. "My documents can't be in the hands of someone like you. You must be lying. If you want money, you're out of luck," Robert said, starting to close the door again. "I don't want money," Liam exclaimed, stepping forward. "I just want you to listen. These documents are important, and you need them." Robert paused, studying Liam's earnest expression. There was something in his eyes that made Robert reconsider. With a reluctant sigh, he said, "Very well, come in. Let's talk more about this." Liam followed Robert through the grand hallways of the mansion, feeling out of place among the luxury and opulence. They entered an elegantly decorated living room, and Robert gestured for Liam to sit. "Explain exactly how you found these documents and why you're here," Robert said, his tone still guarded. Liam took a deep breath. "I was going through some trash when I found these. I recognized your name and address, so I decided to bring them to you personally. I know they're important, and I thought I should return them," he explained. Robert remained silent, processing Liam's words. The sincerity in Liam's eyes started to move him. He knew he needed these documents and that Liam had taken a significant risk to return them. Finally, he nodded. "I will verify these documents, but understand that I can't simply trust someone who appears out of nowhere." "I understand," Liam said, nodding. "I just wanted to do the right thing." Robert observed Liam for a moment longer, his expression softening slightly. "These documents are crucial. You did well to bring them here," he said, his tone more appreciative. Liam felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Thank you, sir." Robert stood up, walking over to a nearby table. He picked up his wallet and began writing a check. "How much do you want for finding and bringing these documents?" he asked, pen in hand. Liam shook his head vigorously. I don't want money. That's not what I'm asking for. Robert stopped writing and looked at him, clearly confused. So, what do you want? Liam sighed deeply, knowing his request was unusual and risky. I want you to treat me like a son for a week, he said, his voice firm but vulnerable. Robert stood still, his eyes wide with surprise. What? I've never had a real family. I want to know what it's like to have a father, even if it's just for a week, Liam explained, his sincerity evident. Robert took a deep breath, trying to understand the motivation behind the request. Finally, he said, Very well. I accept your request. For a week, I will treat you like my son. Liam could hardly believe that Robert had agreed to his unusual request. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and apprehension as he followed Robert through the mansion. Robert led him to a room on the second floor. The housekeeper, still looking disdainful, was instructed to prepare the room for Liam's stay. This will be your room for the week, Robert said, his tone formal but not unkind. We'll start tomorrow. Make yourself comfortable. Thank you, Mr. Robert, Liam replied, his voice filled with gratitude. Just call me Robert, he corrected with a slight smile before leaving the room. Liam looked around, awed by the luxury surrounding him. The bed was large and comfortable, a far cry from the hard streets he was used to. He settled in, wondering what the week ahead would bring. The next morning, Liam woke up early, eager to start the day. He went downstairs for breakfast, where he found Robert and Emily already seated at the table. Emily's expression was cold and distrustful, making Liam feel nervous. Good morning, Liam, Robert greeted warmly. Come, join us for breakfast. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, ma'am, Liam said politely as he sat down. Liam, this is my wife, Emily, Robert introduced formally. Emily, this is Liam, the young man I told you about. Emily's eyes narrowed as she looked at Liam. Nice to meet you, Liam, she said, her tone icy. Nice to meet you too, ma'am, Liam replied, trying to hide his discomfort. The tension at the table was palpable, but Robert made an effort to ease it. Liam, I have some meetings today, and I thought you might like to come along and see what my day is like. That sounds great. I'd love to learn more about what you do, Liam said, genuinely interested. After breakfast, Robert and Liam headed to Robert's office, located within the mansion. The room was filled with modern technology and sleek furniture, a testament to Robert's success. Liam marveled at the sophisticated setup. This is where I handle the administration of my companies, Robert explained. Today I have a few meetings with some key partners. I think you'll find it interesting. Liam nodded eagerly. As the day progressed, he watched Robert in action, impressed by his business acumen and leadership skills. Robert took time to explain his decisions and strategies, treating Liam like an apprentice. During a break, Liam asked, Robert, how did you build such a successful business? Robert smiled, appreciating Liam's curiosity. It took a lot of hard work, determination, and a bit of luck. I started with a small garage and a passion for cars. Over time, I built connections and expanded my business. But it wasn't easy. Liam listened intently, absorbing every word. He admired Robert's perseverance and hoped to learn from his experiences. That evening, the atmosphere in the mansion grew tense again. Emily remained aloof, her distrust of Liam evident in her every glance. During dinner, she asked, So, Liam, what do you hope to gain from this week? Liam took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. I don't want money or anything material, ma'am. I just want to know what it's like to have a family, even if it's just for a short time. Emily's eyes narrowed further, but she said nothing more. The rest of the dinner passed in uncomfortable silence. The following days followed a similar pattern. Robert continued to involve Liam in his daily activities, sharing insights about his business and personal life. They went for walks in the park, cooked meals together, and had long conversations about life and dreams. Slowly, Liam began to feel more at ease, and a genuine bond started to form between them. However, Emily's coldness never wavered. One morning, as Liam entered the kitchen to help with breakfast, she confronted him. What are you doing here? she demanded. Robert suggested I help with breakfast today, Liam replied, trying to stay calm. Of course he did, Emily said sarcastically. Do you think you can win everyone over with your act? I'm not trying to win anyone over, Emily. I just want to experience what it's like to have a family, Liam said, his voice steady but emotional. Emily snorted in disbelief. I see right through you. You're using that sad story to manipulate Robert, and he's falling for it. That's not true, Liam said, his voice rising slightly in frustration. I just wanted a chance to feel what it's like to have a father and a family. The tension was almost unbearable, and just then, Robert entered the kitchen. What's going on here? He asked, looking between Emily and Liam. Nothing, Emily replied quickly, her eyes flashing with anger. Just setting some boundaries. Robert looked at Liam, who was visibly upset. Liam, why don't you take a break? I'll handle breakfast today, he said gently. Liam nodded and left the kitchen, feeling a mix of anger and sadness. He had hoped that this week would be a chance to find some happiness, but Emily's hostility was making it difficult. Later that day, while walking through the city, Liam unexpectedly bumped into Jake, an old acquaintance from the streets. Liam, is that you? Jake exclaimed. Yeah, it's me, Jake. How have you been? Liam replied, surprised but pleased to see a familiar face. I've been getting by, but what about you? You look like life's taken a turn, Jake said, eyeing Liam's slightly improved appearance. It's a long story. I found some important documents and returned them to their owner. He's letting me stay with him for a week, Liam explained briefly. Jake's curiosity was piqued. Who's the owner? Liam took out a photo of Robert and Emily from his pocket. This is Robert, the businessman I'm staying with. And this is his wife, Emily, he said, pointing to the people in the photo. Jake's expression changed as he looked at the photo. I know that woman, he said, frowning. I saw her throwing something in a trash container on a remote street late at night. It seemed strange because she doesn't live anywhere near there. Liam felt a chill run down his spine. Could it be possible that Emily had something to do with the disappearance of the documents? He decided that he needed to tell Robert about this discovery. That night, Liam approached Robert while he was in his study. Robert, I need to talk to you. It's important, he said, his voice serious. Of course, Liam. What's on your mind? Robert asked, looking concerned. I met a friend today, and I showed him a picture of you and Emily. He said he saw Emily throwing something in a trash container on a remote street late at night. It seemed strange to him because she doesn't live there, Liam explained, trying to keep his voice steady. Robert remained silent for a moment, processing the information. Finally, he stood up and walked towards the window, looking out into the night. Are you saying that Emily might have thrown away my documents on purpose? He asked, his voice tense. I don't know, Robert, but it seems strange, don't you think? Liam replied, stepping closer. Robert sighed deeply, running his hand through his hair. This is serious, Liam. I need to talk to Emily about this. Let's solve it right now, he decided, his voice resolute. Robert and Liam went to the living room where Emily was watching television. Her expression changed to one of irritation as she saw them approach. Emily, we need to talk, Robert said firmly. Emily turned off the TV and looked at them, clearly annoyed. What is it now? Liam met a friend today who said he saw you throwing something in a trash container on a remote street late at night. Robert began, his voice steady. I need to know what you were doing there. Emily's face paled for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. This is absurd, Robert. Are you really going to believe the word of a street kid over your own wife? She retorted, trying to sound offended. It's not about believing or not. I just want an explanation, Robert insisted, keeping his eyes fixed on her. I didn't throw anything important away. I don't know what you're talking about, Emily replied, her voice shaking slightly. Robert noticed her nervousness, and it only fueled his suspicions. Emily, please just tell the truth. If there's something wrong, we can solve it together, but I need to know, he pleaded. I already said I didn't do anything, Emily shouted, standing up abruptly. Robert took a deep breath. Emily, I will find out the truth, with or without your help, he said firmly before leaving the room. Liam stayed behind, facing Emily. I'm not trying to cause problems, Emily. I just wanted a chance to experience a family, he said quietly. Emily approached Liam, her eyes filled with contempt. You're nothing but an intruder. You think you can just show up here and disrupt our lives? She hissed. I'm not here to manipulate anyone. I just wanted to feel what it's like to have a home, Liam said, his voice trembling. Emily glared at him. I don't trust you, and I'm going to make sure Robert sees who you really are, she whispered before storming out of the room. Later that evening, Robert realized something was seriously wrong. He found Liam sitting alone in the garden, looking despondent. Liam, are you okay? Robert asked, sitting down next to him. No, Robert, I'm not. Emily thinks I'm here to manipulate you. She doesn't believe me, Liam said, his eyes filled with tears. I knew this would be hard for her, but I didn't expect it to be this bad. I'm going to talk to her. This can't go on, Robert said determinedly. Thank you, Robert, but I don't want to cause trouble between you two. I just wanted a little bit of family love, Liam replied sadly. I understand, Liam, and I promise we'll work this out, Robert said, comforting him. That night, during dinner, the tension was thick. Emily and Robert exchanged cold glances while Liam remained silent. Finally, Robert couldn't stand it any longer. Emily, we need to resolve this. Liam is not here to cheat or manipulate us. He just wants to experience what it's like to have a family, Robert said firmly. Emily crossed her arms, her face hardened with anger. Do you expect me to understand that? You brought a stranger into our home and expect me to just accept it. Our marriage was already strained, Emily. This is about helping someone in need. Please try to understand, Robert pleaded. Emily stood up, her eyes blazing. Fine, help him if you want, but don't expect me to play along, she said before storming out. Robert sighed, feeling the weight of the situation. He looked at Liam and said softly, Everything is going to be okay, Liam. I promise. Thank you, Robert. I just hope this doesn't cause more problems, Liam said, his voice shaky. That night was long and difficult for everyone in the mansion, as the tension between them continued to grow. The next morning, Robert woke up determined to get to the bottom of the issue. He called his trusted assistant, Javier, for a private meeting in his office. Javier, I need you to find a good detective. Someone discreet and efficient, Robert instructed in a low voice. Of course, sir. Any specific problem? Javier asked, curious. I prefer not to go into details now. Just take care of this quickly, Robert replied, ending the conversation. Meanwhile, Emily was restless, aware that her reaction the previous night had raised suspicions. She knew she needed to be more careful. She decided to find a way to get Liam out of the house before things got worse. In the afternoon, Detective Carlos Ramirez arrived at the mansion. Robert received him in his office, away from Emily's prying eyes. Detective Ramirez, I need you to investigate my wife, Emily. There's something strange going on, and I need the truth, Robert said bluntly. Understood, sir. Any specific details I should know? Ramirez asked, taking notes. Emily was seen throwing away important documents on a remote street late at night. I want you to check the security cameras in that area, Robert explained, providing more information. Ramirez nodded. I'll review the footage and report back to you. While the detective conducted his investigation, the tension in the mansion continued to grow. Emily did everything possible to avoid Liam, while Robert tried to keep the peace. The next day, Detective Ramirez returned with his findings. Sir, I reviewed the security footage. Your wife was indeed seen disposing of a bag in a trash container on the specified street. The timing matches what Liam's friend described, Ramirez reported, showing the evidence. Robert's heart sank as he looked at the images. Thank you, Detective. Please keep this information confidential. Ramirez nodded and left, leaving Robert alone with his thoughts. He knew he had to confront Emily again, but the idea filled him with dread. That evening, Robert called Emily to his office. Emily, we need to talk, he said firmly. Emily entered, her expression guarded. "What now, Robert?" Robert laid the photos on the table. "Explain this," he said, his voice heavy with disappointment. Emily's face went pale as she saw the images. "This isn't what it looks like," she stammered. "Then explain it to me, Emily. Why were you throwing away important documents?" Robert demanded. Emily's facade crumbled. "I did it because I wanted to hurt you, Robert. I thought if you lost those documents, your life would become chaotic, and I could control the fortune more easily," she confessed. Robert's heart ached with betrayal. "How could you do this, Emily?" he asked, his voice breaking. "I was desperate, Robert. I felt trapped in this marriage," she tried to justify. Robert shook his head. "You decided to destroy me instead. This is unforgivable. I'm asking for a divorce," he declared, his decision final. "No, Robert. Please don't do this," Emily pleaded, tears streaming down her face. "There's nothing left to say, Emily. Our marriage is over," Robert said, his tone resolute. The news of the divorce spread quickly, causing chaos within the family. Emily left the mansion in anger, blaming Liam for everything. Robert reassured Liam, "This is not your fault. You brought the truth to light, and for that, I am grateful." In the days that followed, Robert and Liam's bond grew stronger. Robert hired private tutors to help Liam catch up on his education and encouraged him to pursue his dreams. One evening, as they sat on the balcony, Robert took Liam's hand and said, "Liam, you've brought light into my life. You're my son now, and nothing can change that." Liam's eyes filled with tears of happiness. "Thank you, Robert. You're the father I always wanted." The mansion, once filled with tension and distrust, transformed into a true home where love, trust, and mutual support reigned. Together, Robert and Liam faced the future with hope and courage, knowing they would always have each other.